The first wildfire ignited in the early morning darkness. Dry brush, hurricane-force winds. A spark became a blaze. Maui has 80 outdoor emergency sirens. Green towers scattered across the island, loud enough to hear from half a mile away. Tested monthly every first Saturday at noon, a piercing tone reminds residents the system worked. The sirens exist for moments like this: wildfires, hurricanes, tsunamis, any natural disaster that threatens lives. On the 8th of August 2023, as flames raced toward the historic town of Lahaina at 1 mile per minute, propelled by 81 miles per hour winds, consuming everything in their path, the sirens stayed silent. No warning, no alarm, no 3-minute steady tone telling people to seek shelter or evacuate. By the time the fire was contained, 102 people were dead, over 2,200 structures destroyed, an entire town dating back to the 1800s reduced to ash. Survivors jumped into the ocean to escape the flames. Some burned alive in traffic jams. Others never made it out of their homes. This is the story of the deadliest U.S. wildfire in over a century, how the world's largest outdoor siren warning system remained silent during the disaster it was built to prevent, and how one man's decision, defended in a press conference and followed by his resignation 24 hours later, became the symbol of a catastrophic failure in emergency response. The system that was supposed to save lives. Hawaii's outdoor siren warning system is the largest in the world. Over 400 sirens statewide, 80 on Maui alone. The green towers are impossible to miss. They dot the landscape, coastal areas, towns, neighborhoods, each one capable of blasting a sound as loud as a rock concert, audible for more than half a mile. Every first Saturday of the month, at noon, the sirens sound, a test, a reminder, a reassurance that if disaster strikes, people will be warned. The system was designed for tsunamis. After a 1946 tsunami killed 159 people, and another in 1960 killed 61 inches, Hilo, Hawaii invested heavily in early warning infrastructure. The sirens became a cornerstone of public safety. But over the decades, their purpose expanded. Not just tsunamis, hurricanes, floods, volcanic eruptions, and wildfires. In an informational video produced by the Hawaii Emergency Management Agency, officials explicitly stated, "We use sirens for hurricanes, brush fires, flooding, lava, hazmat conditions, or in a terrorist event." The protocol was clear. A steady 3-minute tone signals danger. When you hear it, turn on your radio or TV for instructions. Evacuate if necessary. Seek safety immediately. On the 8th of August 2023, when Lahaina needed those sirens most, they never sounded. The fire begins. The day started with warnings. On August 1, the National Interagency Fire Center had forecast above normal wildfire potential for Hawaii in August. Dry conditions, abundant brush from the previous wet season, and a looming threat, Hurricane Dora, churning south of the islands, bringing high winds. By August 7, 2 Maui Emergency Management Agency staff members were assigned to the county's Emergency Operations Center due to fire danger and high winds. At 3:12 a.m. on August 8, the first wildfire was reported. Firefighters responded. They battled the blaze through the morning. By mid-morning, they believed it was contained. But around 3 p.m., the wind shifted. Gusts reached 81 miles per hour's hurricane force. The fire, which officials thought was out, reignited. Or perhaps it had never been fully extinguished. Within minutes, the blaze exploded. At 4:46 p.m., the fire crossed Hanawapi-Alani Highway, the main road through Lahaina, and entered the town. Residents scrambled to evacuate. Traffic jammed immediately, bumper-to-bumper gridlock. The fire moved faster than people could drive, faster than they could run. By 5:45 p.m., flames reached the shoreline. The U.S. Coast Guard received reports of people jumping into the ocean to escape the inferno. Survivors later described the chaos. Cars exploding around them, smoke so thick they couldn't see, heat so intense it melted metal. Some abandoned their vehicles and ran. Others jumped into the water and clung to debris, waiting for rescue. Brenda Ligia Makanikeo, a Makawao resident, could see a siren tower from her back window. She heard it during the monthly tests. On August 8th, it stayed silent. She received no phone alerts. She learned about the fire from social media. By the time she looked out her window, she saw a red and orange inferno. The siren silent. Hawaii Emergency Management Agency spokesperson Adam Weintraub confirmed it. The outdoor sirens were not activated. Not a single one. Not on Maui, not anywhere in the state. Records showed no indication that any official attempted to trigger them. Instead, authorities relied on mobile phone alerts, TV broadcasts, and radio messages. But there was a problem. The fire knocked out power lines. Cell towers went down. Phones didn't work. TVs were off. Radios were useless. The very infrastructure needed to deliver the warnings was destroyed by the fire itself. The sirens, designed to work independently, powered separately, audible for half a mile, without electricity or cell service, sat silent. Residents who had heard them every month during tests heard nothing when it mattered most. Herman Andaya's defense. Herman Andaya was the administrator of the Maui County Emergency Management Agency. He was responsible for emergency response coordination, including the decision to activate sirens. On August 16, 8 days after the fire, Andaya held a press conference. Reporters asked why weren't the sirens used. Andaya's answer: the siren system has not been used either in Maui or in other jurisdictions around the state for wildfires. He explained that sirens are primarily for tsunamis. If activated during a wildfire, he argued, people might assume a tsunami was coming and flee inland straight into the fire. It was a decision based on the best practices, Andaya said. The response was immediate and furious. Survivors were outraged. Experts disputed his claim. The Hawaii Emergency Management Agency's own materials explicitly listed wildfires as a reason to use sirens. Kakoa Lansford, who lost his Lahaina home, was blunt: an extra 15 minutes and a lot of people would have lived. 1 day later, August 17, Herman Andaya resigned. He cited health reasons. No further explanation. His tenure as emergency management director had lasted less than 2 years. His press conference defending the decision not to use the sirens was his last public appearance in the role. The pattern of neglect. Andaya's decision wasn't impulsive. It reflected a pattern. Public Safety Commission meeting records from 2019, 2020, and 2021 show that Andaya repeatedly downplayed the importance of the siren system. He called sounding the sirens a last resort. In a July 2020 meeting, Andaya reported that only 58 of Maui's 70-plus sirens had worked during the most recent monthly test. When Commissioner Travis Tonkayo, a retired fire battalion chief, expressed concern, Andaya dismissed it. I still feel sirens are important. Tonkayo said, you lose electricity and the phones go out anytime there's a major emergency. We should put good effort in continuing to update and keep our siren systems running. Andaya replied, sorry, I don't mean to diminish the value of sirens. But his actions spoke louder. Siren maintenance was deprioritized. When the fire came, the protocol to activate them was ignored. And there were warnings, many warnings. The warnings no one heeded. In June 2014, the Hawaii Wildfire Management Organization prepared a Western Maui Community Wildfire Protection Plan. The report was explicit. Most of the Lahaina area is at extremely high risk for burning. In 2020, Maui County's Hazard Mitigation Plan identified Lahaina as lying within a high-risk zone for wildfire. In 2018, as Hurricane Lane approached Hawaii, brush fires scorched 2,330 acres in Maui. The following year, fires burned 25,000 acres. Despite this, Hawaii's 2022 Emergency Management Report described the risk of wildfires to human life as low. On the 1st of August 2023, 1 week before the Lahaina fire, the National Interagency Fire Center forecast above normal wildfire potential. The report specifically mentioned that tropical cyclones can bring windy and dry conditions depending on how they approach the island chain and can exacerbate fire growth potential. Hurricane Dora was exactly that cyclone. Governor Josh Green later reflected, we underestimated the lethality, the quickness of fire. That level of destruction in a fire hurricane, something new to us in this age of global warming, was the ultimate reason that so many people perished. But it wasn't new. The warnings had been there for years. The fire's path. The fire spread at 1 mile per minute. Winds blew firefighters' helmets off their heads despite chin straps. Temperatures reached 1,000 degrees. Embers flew through the air like bullets. Evacuation routes were blocked. Downed power lines and utility poles created deadly obstacles. Traffic jammed. People abandoned cars and ran. Some made it to the ocean. They waded into the water, clinging to rocks and debris, watching their town burn. The Coast Guard rescued dozens. Others weren't so lucky. Cars trapped in gridlock became ovens. People who hesitated thinking the fire wouldn't reach them, waiting for official warnings that never came, died in their homes. The Lahaina Hongwanji Mission, a historic Buddhist temple, burned. So did Waiola Church, built in 1823. The Pioneer Inn, dating to 1901. The banyan tree, a 150-year-old landmark, was scorched but survived. By the time the fire was 85% contained on August 11, over 2,200 structures were destroyed. 86% were residential. Families lost everything. The death toll climbed. August 9, 36 dead. August 1167, August 1280, August 1393, August 1496. By August 17, the day Andaya resigned, the confirmed count was 102 dead, with 2 still missing. It became the deadliest U.S. wildfire since the 1918 Cloquet Fire in Minnesota, which killed 453 people. The aftermath, Hawaii Attorney General Ann Lopez launched a comprehensive review. Her office, working with the Fire Safety Research Institute, released a detailed timeline but assigned no blame yet. The Western Fire Chiefs Association conducted a separate investigation and found a spate of problems with emergency preparation and coordination. Governor Green called it the largest natural disaster in the state's history. The economic damage, $5.52 billion, according to FEMA and the Pacific Disaster Center estimates. Survivor lawsuits followed. Families of the dead sought accountability. The county, the state, Hawaiian Electric, whose downed power lines may have sparked the fire, and emergency management officials all faced legal scrutiny. And the question lingered, could the sirens have saved lives? Experts were divided. Some argued that even with sirens, the fire moved too fast. Others pointed out that 15 extra minutes, just 15, could have made the difference between life and death for dozens, maybe hundreds. Chris Gregg, a geology professor who studied Hawaii's siren system, noted that after the 1960 Hilo tsunami, researchers found many residents didn't know what the siren sound meant or what to do. That's why the system was simplified to one steady tone, attention alert. Seek information, evacuate if necessary. But in Lahaina, there was no tone, no alert, no warning at all. The lesson, the 8th of August, 2023, 102 people died because a fire moved faster than emergency systems could respond, because power lines fell and cell towers failed, because evacuation routes were blocked and traffic jammed. And because the one warning system designed to work independently, the sirens was never activated. Herman Andaya's defense was that sirens are for tsunamis and using them for wildfires would confuse people. But the Hawaii Emergency Management Agency's own protocols listed wildfires as a valid reason to activate the system, and monthly tests had conditioned residents to recognize the sound and seek information. The sirens existed for this exact scenario. They weren't used. The pattern is familiar. Warnings ignored, systems neglected, decisions defended until they can't be, resignations that come too late. We've seen it before. The Baltimore Bridge with a grandfather clause exempting it from modern safety assessments, Southwest Airlines ignoring pilot warnings about outdated scheduling software, CrowdStrike deploying updates without adequate testing. Lahaina is the same story, a system designed to save lives, undermined by complacency and poor judgment until disaster exposes the cracks. 102 people paid the price, an entire historic town was lost, and the world's largest outdoor siren warning system sat silent while Lahaina burned. The question isn't whether better systems exist. They do. The sirens were there, the warnings were there, the plans were there. The failure was human.